Hey guys, Jay here, and I know I just released a video on testing the AFK setup with the Dark Marionette Spectre in standard, very suboptimal setup, but it resulted very well. However, I cannot stop myself from actually recording another video because, man oh man, GG just released a number, the number information for the new gems, and some of them looks absolutely freaking insane for the retaliation skill gems. And just get into some of them. Crushing Fist, 2193.8%. I think at level 21 it should be 2200 basically. Holy shit. Cannot be evaded. And these kind of retaliation skill, remember, it is going to be working super well with something that is already in the game called ambush. And what ambush is, if you don't know, normally this is either used in like a crit, Viper Strike, Mamba thing that like I have an idea for, but apparently the Bino's Kitchen Knife proliferation for poison is absolutely dog shit. Nothing near the level of Pathfinder poison prolif. So sorry for anyone who is excited for that one. Maybe I will work on a Pathfinder version and let you guys know on the update of it. Anyway, ambush is a skill that is going to give you a massive amount of crit and crit multi. The crit here is 25% by default if you have level 20, and then also maximum quality you can get like a 38% something, 36, 38, a lot of base crit chance basically. So if you have it, this is quality is 10% base crit chance, by the way. So that is plus 25 here is 35 on a 20% quality gem. And yeah, 35% base crit. Let's just say you use a random other weapon that is 5%. That already is 40% base crit, which means you only need 150% increased critical strike chance in total to get a guaranteed crit. That is literally achievable with 1 diamond flask and then like 2 small passive in the skill tree or something equal to that. So things like ambush work extremely well with things like this. Previously it's like Viper Strike or the Mamba with perfect agony. If you want to get it, it's kind of clunky and mostly is for boss killing, but also you can use it with something like the Rage Vortex of Berserking, for example. It's a skill that snapshot the stat when you cast it. So you ambush, you use the Rage Vortex, and then you just have the crit for the whole duration of it, which is absolutely freaking massive, right? Now imagine that. With this, the only problem with this is the clunkiness of how you used it. So first of all, for example, obviously something like this is going to be very good in like trying to one-shot a boss or kill a boss or something like that, which is the kind of content that actually require a lot of damage, right? So the problem is you first has to block something from the boss, which is very easy in some boss fight, but also very hard in some other boss fight, because a lot of boss fight in PoE actually have just weird damage mechanic. Like the boss actually does not do the damage, they actually cast spell or actually create some things that is environment effect, which you cannot block because it's not from the boss itself, right? So sometimes in order to even get a block in the first place, even though you maybe have cap block and then also lucky block chance, that might not be easy to get, then you can be able to use this one. So you can ambush and then you Crushing Fist, for example, in this case, and you probably are going to deal a massive amount of damage. We also can, you know, couple it with a lot of things in the game that has massive bonus to enemies on full life, for example. That is going to be huge as well. Anyway, that is clunky. What potentially can we get to deal with that in a sense? So we are having this back in the game, and I already mentioned this one in the flashbang. I already mentioned this one in the Chieftain AFK explosion original plan, right? So this one, Penance Mark, curse a single enemy, causing them to spawn multiple phantasm when hit. So those phantasm, if you, for example, enter a boss fight, that is a boss that does not really hit you that often, you can use the Penance Mark on it. They will spawn a bunch of phantasm. They are weak as fuck, but they are going to basically shoot some very like wet noodle projectile to your character, and that you can block that, and then you can enable the ability to use things like Crushing Fist very reliably. It is something to I would like the setup is kind of like specifically want you to be just a very specialized boss killer in order to want to do something like that. From map clear, I don't know. There is a couple of things in the passive skill tree and also in the gladiator ascendancy actually support retaliation skill for more uses, for less cooldown, for chance to have no cooldown, things like that. Potentially you can kind of have a build around it, but I think it will overall be still clunky, right? Anyway, that is something that I think about the retaliation skill in the first place. It can be wrong, it can be right, who knows? But the number, look at it, man. The number look insane. This one have a 60% less damage with ailment, which is not ideal to do like a big bleeding gladiator, right? So we have eviscerate, can't be evade, cause bleeding, problem solved, right? So this is like designed to be like the bleeding version of this one, basically. Swordstorm, let's just say level 21 here. Probably the number will be 250% of base, right? Or something close to that. So level 21 here, 250% times 8 is 2000%. So this is also 2000% damage. Man, we are going to delete bosses, at least in like maps, if you have like a spare falling setup for this kind of retaliation skill. Boss damage is not going to feel bad at all for gladiator bleed build, because why do I keep saying gladiator? Because it is the ascendancy that has, first of all, a node that is specifically toward retaliation skill, and second, it is the class with the easiest cap blocks that you can get in the game. And I think all, or if not all, most of the retaliation skill that we're seeing here, the condition to be able to trigger it is actually on block. So when you block, you gain the ability to use those skill, and then you can use it, right? Vengeful Cry. This one, from the face value of it, maybe it does help a little bit with like retaining the duration of Rage Vortex, right? Yeah, maybe it helps with retaining the duration of Rage Vortex of Berserking. I'm not sure if it's going to be that necessary or that useful, but at least from the face value of it, right now the Rage Gem itself is nerfed. I don't think it's that good anymore. It is still okay. It's not that good anymore. So probably the main case to use this one is going to be Rage Vortex of Berserking. It's just to keep up the uptime a little bit more, I think. Maybe it's not going to be that useful. Glacial Shield Swipe. This one I didn't see before, so physical damage convert to cold. So this one is more like an defensive one. So it has very, very little damage, but it always frees. It has a sweep around, so that is like probably a circle around you, right? Unleashing a wave of finding in the cone also is only in the cone. Well, that's one. I don't know if anyone is going to be using this. Defensively, if you still have to press it, normally it's not going to be good for the average player. Because I know there are some people who use Molten Shell like actively, and that is a better way to use it. However, for the average PoE player like me, myself, we are, first of all, lazy. Second, very bad at the game. Third, super fucking slow reaction time because we're old and grumpy. Yeah. So probably not going to be a good thing. Puncture of Shanking. Okay, this is just the puncture that is exclusive to the melee weapon right now. They divide it. Divine Retribution. This gem does not have any additional effectiveness of damage from the level 1 that we have seen. So probably the strength of this is only going to be strong if you have like overlap on it, because these skills aren't really, I think the retaliation skill, the design of it is not really good for map clear or overall clearing because it has cooldown, it's clunky to use. It's probably is meant to be for like one big button when you press on boss fight or something like that. So Divine Retribution here should be overlapping. If it overlap, then sure, it's a-okay, but the number doesn't seem as impressive as this one. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's some further thing you can do with this one because it's AoE, right? So if you can like spell cascade, awaken spell cascade with it, you can potentially create like a lot of overlap. Maybe. I don't think it will work, but who knows? Okay, so this one is going to be the... okay, it is going to be helping with the retaliation cooldown. Cool. More skill effect duration. This one... this one is a nerf to a lot of just slap in utility setup. For example, you have a guard skill, Steel Skin, Molten Shell. If you do not have any other source of increased duration, this becoming more duration is just basically worthless, almost. If you have other sources of increased duration from gear, from skill tree, something like that, this is going to be better. However, I think the main thing that this gem is going to be good for here is we are having currently, I think, 2 skills in the game that actually scale with duration. The first thing is Earthquake of Amplification. It is gaining, I believe, 15% hit damage or 5% ailment damage per 0.1 second. Base duration is 2.5, I think, and of course, to scale that to like do one-shot bosses mechanic, I think I have a video on it showing someone who tried it out in the 3.23. He used Tincture to guarantee crit and a lot of crit multi, and used Marohi's Urki, slam once. That Earthquake of Amplification lasts for like 14 seconds. With this one, which is a more multiplier to whatever the other duration that you are having, you can have potentially like a 20-second, maybe even more duration for that skill, and I think it will just one-shot everything in the game anyway, right? Overexertion. Okay, so this is for Slam. I don't think Slam is going to be broken. I think it's going to be good, like good enough, right? But I don't think it's going to be broken because it has the main drawback of a slam is the slow playstyle. Even though now you have an automation for Warcry that actually have some benefit to it, but I don't think it is going to be that broken in any sense. Sure, with the right setup, you might be able to do some big boy damage, but that's it, right? I think the only good clear skill for slam is probably still going to be the volcanic fissure snaking, which is my favorite, by the way. The mechanic, the range, the coverage of the skill is absolutely massive, which makes it a good skill. Rupture support, this is whatever. Maybe it's good somewhere. Yeah, maybe. If you have a decently fast attacking build, then sure. And if you scale one single bleed, sure. Fast attacking, one single bleed, so you don't worry too much about the bleed duration, and this is good. Okay. Yeah, everything else is just basically they're showing you new numbers. But anyway, let me know what you think about the retaliation skill. Are they going to be a thing? I'm still very, very skeptical. I would predict it probably is something extra on an actual build. So the actual build is still going to be a regular skill. And then because you have such high multiplier on this thing, if you have extra link for it, maybe you can put it in. But also the problem is the condition to trigger them. Mostly pretty much just force your character to be some kind of block defensively. So that is very narrow. That is not going to be usable by a lot of builds. So yeah. Like and subscribe. Peace.